What's going on YouTube? It's Dave through the trades. I hope you all had an amazing weekend. Myself, I literally just stepped foot through the door, back from a quick weekend trip from New York City. Had a great time, but I'm ready to jump back into the swing of things. But in today's video, we're going to be breaking down exactly what happened today and where I currently see us standing in this Wyckoff accumulation schematic. And furthermore, breaking down how we actually have smaller time frame schematics inside of this larger base schematic that we've been talking about for some time now. But without further ado, guys, we're going to roll right into the intro before we hop into the technical analysis. And we're back. All right. AMC was actually slightly down today, just about 0.76%, and slightly down in after hours today. But guys, like I always say, take after hours with a grain of salt. And actually on the chart right now, I have all after hours or extended hour moves removed from the charts entirely because from my perspective, I'm only concerned what happens in normal trading hours. But in today's video, we are going to be taking a look on where I left off on Friday's video. If you haven't looked at Friday's update video, definitely give it a quick look because this video will make much more sense to you. But what we saw on Friday happening was actually a smaller time frame schematic playing out inside of this larger Wyckoff accumulation schematic. And it's actually very interesting. So what we saw Friday, just for a quick recap, guys, we saw this schematic play out. We saw that spring happen down at $25.31. And then a violent move just about in the last hour and a half of trading sessions. And it went pretty nicely. That spring really acted beautifully. And what we actually saw today was the trading range of the SOS, the sign of strength. And just to move this over so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about, we got that spring on Friday right around at the $25 mark. And of course, guys, I am talking about that 1 minute chart. We move up, we hit that LPS, which was right over here, right on today, 12.6, that LPS. We move up, we jump into our SOS, and then we have these bounces in our SOS, this consolidation before we actually lead right into phase E. So that's why I'm personally so excited to be making this video today, because if this is correct and we are in this SOS phase, which I truly believe we are on the 1 minute time frame, then we should absolutely see a very nice trading session in the next 1 or 2 trading days into that phase E. Now, of course, if you're new to the Wyckoff accumulation, you're not really too familiar what phase E is. But phase E, I like to think of it as the launch pad. We finally bounce off that last resistance line and we shoot to the moon. Not actually to the moon. We're not going to $10,000 right away, guys. But this is really what's going to bring us into that next trading range. And it'll make more sense once we jump into that 1 hour and 1 day chart. And really why I think we are in this sign of strength phase, in phase D on this 1 minute schematic here, is because we did jump up to that $30.45 mark, which would be the top of that SOS phase. We come down to a bottom here, right about at $28.25, and then we start making higher lows. Our next low is at that $28.50 mark, so off that. So tomorrow, I should expect to see us bounce around in this range, and then hopefully break out into phase E. Now, let's jump into the 1 day chart, and we'll all kind of make eyes on this. So, of course, this is the larger scale schematic that we have been talking about for just about a week and a half now. And we have established that we are in phase C, where we did have that spring formation right here. And we all know what that spring was. And we actually got an early sign of how that spring actually operates on that 1 minute schematic. Really interesting stuff. It's almost like they're preparing us for what's ahead, which is really interesting. So what happens next? Well, if we bring back up the schematic on this large scale time frame here, we should start to see these higher lows play out. And if we jump to the 1 hour chart, I'm actually so excited to see this. Look at this. we're starting these higher lows to form here. That is fantastic. Now, it doesn't mean we're fully out of the woods yet. We do need to get back up into this trading range and break into this $32 range. This would be this range over here before start retesting, kind of bounce around in this area. And that's why I think the next couple of days and even weeks are going to be a little rocky and have something like this play out. But once we do move into phase D, that's when we start to get this LPS followed by this upper sign of strength play out over here. And this is really where the price action, where the volume really starts to kick in and really just shows the full potential of what AMC is fully capable of. And then next comes phase E. But really why I want to break down that 1 minute schematic here that we have been talking about since Friday is because we are starting that, like I said, that SOS phase where we are trading in this pennant right here and potentially starting our breakout into phase E. So with this said, we could actually be somewhere very close to phase C here. And if that breakout does occur on that 1 minute schematic, that could actually launch us right into this phase D right here, where we have this nice run and then a slight retest of that LPS. This literally right here could be our phase E on the 1 minute schematic, playing out and actually act as our run up to start phase D. So super interesting stuff, guys. And that's exactly where I think we are. Now, I do want to break it down a little bit further here. We're going to jump back to the 1 day chart and just look at some of the technical indicators down here. Well, RSI, look at RSI. We're literally skating on that 30 range right here. The 30 range is right above oversold. So this is a very healthy kind of look into AMC and a very good investment if you do have these day traders or swing traders just looking at their daily screeners and saying, what's a good trade for today? Also, we do have the MACD. Of course, we have been looking at these histograms, and what we have been seeing is the histograms are starting to flatten out. What does that mean? Flattening out on the histograms means that in the very near-term future, this is actually going to start to curl up and actually look for our next crossover. The next crossover, it's not going to happen tomorrow. I can literally promise you that. It's going to take a couple of days and potentially even a week and a half to fully play out. But seeing that it's dying down on the volume of the histogram over here signals that the crossover is coming. And we all know what the MACD crossovers pretty much symbolize. Of course, right now, this is symbolizing a move to the upside and the reversal, which of course, again, coincides with being in this range over here. The early beginning signs of phase D on the very near term picture for AMC. This is fantastic to see. Now, I have seen a lot of people on Twitter discussing the second option for AMC, which is the pre-run up to that January 21 price action where it went from $1.91 all the way up to $20. Where what happened is we did have this massive sell-off over here. And just to show you and put this in perspective, it was right around $7 all the way down to $2.15. Had a brief run up, a small dump into that 191 area before the last run up. So a lot of people have been just weighing out the option where we might actually have a second spring built into the schematic, which I don't really know how much I love that option. You know, I do want to play out every possible scenario just to kind of put my beliefs into it, what I think may happen. I don't really see this happening because I think this spring is already in, but we always have to weigh out every possibility, specifically with a stock like AMC, because there's just so much blatant manipulation that goes on with this. So what would this actually look like? It would look like a brief reversal into this range over here, maybe $35, $36 before coming back down into that $25, $26 range before starting that last reversal into the massive run-up. Now, like I said before, I personally think it is unlikely that we see something like that play out. I like the way how the spring has acted in the past couple of trading sessions, and I do believe based on the technicals, based on the options flow, based on the institutional accumulation at this range over here, especially in the past month and even couple of weeks, I do think that institutions have accumulated lots of shares. And I think even retail on the other side, and if you don't believe me on this, go read every single comment for the last like 2 or 3 videos where there are literally hundreds of you saying, I'm buying more AMC on this dip, I'm doubling down over here. So we're absolutely throwing retail into this picture too, where I think a lot of accumulation has happened on this spring phase right here, which exactly why the spring phase is a thing here. It's because they're trying to shake out the paper hands, trying to accumulate as many shares as they possibly can before driving this price up to numbers that we have never seen before with AMC. And that's why I am saying that it's unlikely that we see this double spring or double bottom over here at that $25, $26 range. I think the bottom is in. That's my personal belief. But of course, guys, like anything can literally happen with AMC. So let's just be prepared for it all. Now, before we do move on, I do want to jump into the options flow for AMC. Now, today it was mixed, but we did see a lot of the $60 call options being bought for the expiration for 2/18/22. Some pretty solid call action being put. If we hop down and break it down a little bit further, we'll go into today's AMC levels. Take a look at the number of calls versus puts. So, of course, guys, we did have a little bit of a red day for AMC, more of that consolidation in that SOS phase on the micro level time scale. So we saw 58% being calls, 42% being puts. And if we do remember back to Friday's video, the number of calls was just around that 70 percentile and puts was 30. So we have decreased on the call side just a little bit, which makes sense because we are in that consolidation phase. Now, what were the whales targeting? Well, they were all over that $28 strike price. That was really something big that the bulls and the bears were fighting for. Really interesting. And if we do take it a step further, we can see the expirations and the strikes down here. For the expirations, we do see this 121 expiration is definitely favorable by the bulls. And also we can see the 12/17 expiration, definitely very favorable by the bulls. And that is only, I believe, next Friday. Yeah, next Friday, 12/17. That is some interesting expiration over here. That's a lot, over 200,000. And then same for 121. That is further out, so I do expect this to move a little bit higher in the next upcoming weeks. But if we look specifically at strikes, you can see the bulls are absolutely targeting that $30 strike. If we move this slider down, we can see also 35 is being targeted. And that's really the last sign of strength for the bulls over here. Slightly bulls outweighing the bears at that $50 strike. And all right, guys, that's all that I have for today's video. I am absolutely dead from this weekend. I need to go get some sleep before tomorrow. But I do want to leave you on this note. We are in a very good spot for AMC right now. This is tracking exactly what we expected to. And I do hope to see that Phase D play out in the next couple of trading sessions or even potentially the next week or so. We'll see what happens. We'll continue to update you guys as this progresses. Be sure to stay tuned, hit that like button, make sure you follow along, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace out.